back to another CCK video. It's your girl Whitney, and thank you for clicking on my video. If this is your I just scratched my toe. If this is your first time clicking on my videos, welcome. If it's not and you're back for another one, thank you so much for coming back. So today we will be talking about this beauty right here, and it doesn't have a label or any words on it, but this is my budget notebook. You could call it a budget planner because it is monthly, but I call it my Bujo budget notebook. No, I don't. I call it my budget Bujo. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about how I budget monthly and going into 2021, lessons I've learned from 2020 and things I'm going to change and things I'm going to keep. So the budget method that I use is the Budget Moms. She has the budget by Paycheck method, which I fell in love with once I found it because it's not simple. It's actually very tedious and a lot of work to keep up with, but it helps me track literally every dollar that's coming in and every dollar that goes out, so I know exactly where all my money is going and I can plan accordingly. Using this method, I was able to pay off about $5,000 in credit card debt last year, so which was a really big deal because in 2019 your girl was out of control. I was just spending money left and right just because I knew I had credit and I could pay it back later. So last year was really crucial for me to like get a handle on how I'm spending my money and how I'm saving my money. So I will link the video in the description of the actual budget by Paycheck method. Mine is a little bit different because it's kind of personalized to me. Some of the stuff that she does doesn't really apply, so I kind of like tweaked her method, but it really is just her method. And she actually sells like notebooks with the kits in them. I made my own because I'm cheap and I wanted it to look how I wanted it to look, and I just figured it'd be easier just to make it and print them off and do it my own way. But yeah, so stay tuned so you can see my flip through of how I budget by Paycheck. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright, so here we have my budget bullet journal notebook planner. So this cover is actually from Levenger. They are the company that actually introduced me to the disc bound system. So they fit perfectly with the Happy Planner disc, which is what these are. These are the plastic ones. I don't really like the look of it right now, but it does its job. So, and it's purple, they match. So it's like a sparkly, glittery purple cloth cover, I guess you could say. And I got it from Levenger. This is my title page, so you're very aware that this is my budget notebook. And to start off, we have my savings tracker, and in this page I intend to track all the areas of my life that I need to save, whether it is for my car, travel, personal savings, stocks. I'm going to use this page to track my progress weekly and monthly, and I'm just going to pretty much highlight off the amount that I get to for each area. So last year I used like this image of a piggy bank, and it had lines going vertically up the piggy bank, and once you met a certain amount you would color it in. So it's kind of the same thing. I just wanted to keep it simple this year, plus I have several areas that I want to save in, so I just thought to have it on one page versus having several pages of piggy banks. So that's how I intend to use this savings tracker. So this is my monthly view page for the month. I haven't actually finished it because I don't have like a title up there or my goal for the month or any of the month filled in, but I do have the days and my legend done. So the intent of this page is really to have your focus. So your goal for the month is really your focus. For any extra cash that you have after you do your budget, that money will go to whatever your goal for the month is. So for example, if I have my loan payoff as my goal for that month, then that means after I do my budget and have allocated all my funds, any extra dollars will go towards the loan payment. So how I annotate on here, I do it color coded. So I just write whatever days I have credit card payments due or bills due. I write those in that spot. So I think, for example, I have my Chase credit card is due on the 19th. So I would just write Chase in red here, and I know that means that payment is due. For the paydays, I just highlighted the boxes in green so I know exactly when I'm supposed to be getting paid, and I can budget for the bills that are due in that portion. So for example, I'll show you what I have for 2020. A little bit different. Obviously I wasn't using a disc bound, I was using a binder. But so my focus was my debt in general. I didn't have like a specific card or a loan. It was just, if I had extra money, it would go to any of my debt. I indicated my bills in purple and my credit cards in light blue, and then my payday, it just has a little star on the days that I get paid. So how I would use this is, I know that if I'm getting paid on this day, all of the bills after this day until the next time I get paid are going to be paid for with this this check. So that would be all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All 9 of these would be paid for with this check, and then so on. So if I'm getting paid on the 23rd, it's only 2 on here, but you also have to include February until the next time you get paid. So like 5 or whatever, all 5 of those bills will be getting paid for with this paycheck. And then if you have money left over, you can divvy it up for like your envelopes, and then eventually get to your goal, which is the debt. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, just check out the Budget Mom and she can really like explain it more in depth and in detail than that. The Paycheck Bill Tracker, which is like the meat and potatoes of this video. So how I would use this page is I would take out I'll just use my old one as for example. I would take out my month page and I would write the paycheck we're on. So let's say I'm using my first paycheck, so that would be paycheck number 1 for the month. The date would be January 9th, and the income, how much I make on that paycheck. Then I would write all of the bills between when I get this paycheck and the next paycheck, so that'd be all like 10 of them, and how much I expect them to be, which usually my bills generally just kind of stay the same, so it's not really a difference between what I budget and what it actually is. So usually there's no difference here. So once I get through all of those, I'll get my total and I will subtract that from my income so I know how much I have left for envelopes, savings, and my extra debt. Now I'll take my remaining total from my monthly bills and move it down to the envelope section. And my envelope section is really just everything that's not bills that need to be paid for. So like groceries, gas, shopping, if I go out to eat, entertainment, those kinds of things. I'll budget that in this section and total it out at the bottom. So I'll take that total from my envelopes and subtract it from the total that was remaining from my monthly bills and take the new total and move it up into either my savings plan or into my extra debt, depending on how much is left and what my goal is for that month. So for example, if I don't have a lot left over and my focus was for my savings, then I would put the remaining in my savings or whatever account in my savings I want to. But if my focus was for my debt, like it is in January, then I would probably skip over savings and just put my extra funds into my extra debt. But usually, because of how my bills are split up throughout the month, I have enough to do both of my savings and my extra debt. And keep in mind that the extra debt does not include my monthly debt payments. That would be found in my monthly bills. So the extra debt is strictly for any extra payments that I want to make on my credit cards or my loan payment. So as you can see, all of these sections have a budget column and an actual column, and the reason for this is I will actually sit down and do my budget at the beginning of the month or at the end of the previous month to figure out where my money needs to go for the month. And then weekly throughout the month, so usually on Sundays, I'll go through and actually check to see what the differences are between what I budgeted and what I actually spent. So that's where the expense log comes into play, which we'll get into in a second. But if there are any differences, so let's say I budgeted $100 for groceries and I only spent $50 for groceries. If there are any differences like that, I'll take the difference and also allocate that to whatever my goal for the month is. So for example, January, my goal was debt. If I had extra money left over that I didn't spend, that money would also go to whatever my goal is, so my debt for that month. So next up we have the envelope summary page, and after I've completed all of my budget by paycheck pages, I will total up each of the envelope categories and place them here. And I won't touch this page again until the end of the month when I can put down the totals for each of the categories that were actually spent. So I use this page to help me budget better for the next month. So I know, okay, well, I only spent $300 in groceries last month, so I shouldn't need to spend over $300 unless I had an event or something like that for the next month. Comes down to the most tedious and dreaded part by me, which is the expense tracker. I hate it so very, very much because it's just so tedious going from account to account to account and seeing how much I'm spending every week. But I will say the good thing about having an expense tracker, even though I'm so lazy, I hate doing these, it's really good to limit my spending because I know that the more that I swipe, the more that I buy, the more entries I'm going to have to do. So it kind of helps me control and have some discipline, because I know that if I really don't want to do a lot of tracking, then I just won't spend as much. So it's really good in that aspect. But here, it's just a typical expense log. You just write the date, which account is for, so that would be, debit. If I'm using my checking account, if I'm using my envelopes account, if I'm using my credit cards, any of those, I would indicate that there, what the transaction was or where the transaction was, and then the category. So that's for my envelopes specifically. So this helps me identify how much I spend in each envelope category by just totaling it up. So for example, if I spent $30 in gas, it's easy to identify how much I spent for the month in gas, because it'll say gas in each of the categories. And I like to color coordinate, so it's easier to identify each category, and then a plus or minus. So was it a addition to my account or was it a expense? So am I spending money towards it, or was it something like I got a rebate back or I got a stimulus check? So if I get extra additional money into my account, then I will put it here, and if I'm actually spending the money, I would put it here. It just helps me identify things a little bit quicker, and then I have, again, multiple sheets for that. Hopefully I don't use all these sheets in the month, because that's just a lot of lines to fill out, but that's there just in case. So then I have my account balances, which is how, before I did the budget by paycheck method, I actually just used to track how much I was spending weekly, and that was my budget practice, my budget method. And it didn't really help me in spending less. It just helped me keep note of how much was in my accounts each week. So that's just something that I like to keep in my practice, just so I know how I'm doing. I would break it down by week, same thing, and then I would put a delta here. So I would highlight that with red if it decreased, or I would highlight it with green if it increased between week to week, except for credit cards. If it decreases, I would highlight it in green, because obviously that's a good thing, and if it increases, I would highlight that in red, so it's a little bit of a flop. And then if it stayed the same, I would just highlight it with gray, because that's neutral. But these are all the accounts that I have that I would track in here. And then I left extra space, which I learned from last year because I kept adding more accounts, just in case I need to do that this year. I just got into stocks, so that's why I created extra space, so I can kind of track that, or if I get into any other type of investing, I can add those here. Again, this is my sinking fund tracker, so it's basically the same thing, just tracking exactly how much I have, because in my tracker, it's just split up evenly across like whatever my goal is. So this is like $25 across and $100 across. So this is for me to actually track how much I have in my accounts weekly. I have my debt payment plan, and basically what I do here is I identify what my debt is if it's credit card or my loan, what my current balance is on it, which I usually do this at the beginning of the month, so I know what I started with, what the interest rate is, what the payment is, and that helps me determine the order in which I want to pay it. So for example, if I did do my goal focus like this, or it was just debt in general and not like a specific credit card or loan repayment, then I would order them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, so I know what the priority is. And then here I would just track how much each transaction for debt repayment. So if I had like different things scheduled, I would track them here and then add them up at the end to see how much I was able to pay off and what the difference is between last month and this month. So the reason for these columns on the right hand side are to help when I'm doing my budget at the beginning of the month. So when I'm doing my total budget, I like to schedule all of my extra payments for my debt at the beginning, as opposed to making payments during the week when I'm checking in weekly. This way I don't have to worry about whether the payment went through, if I scheduled it, did I already pay it. I just do it all at the beginning up front, and then I mark in each of the columns what day it's supposed to go through, if I did schedule it or not. So if I don't, then I can remember to schedule it right then. And then if it was paid. So as I'm checking in weekly and doing my budget weekly, I can just check, yes, this payment went through. So I don't have to worry about it, and I won't have any double payments. So after that, I do my total net worth, and this is also done at the end of the month. So I'll write down every account, assets, liabilities, what my balance is, and then, you know, add it together or subtract this from this, and I'll get my net worth and I'll compare it to the month before to see how things have changed. All right, so now that you've seen my budget notebook, I'm going to summarize my process for you again. So it's the beginning of the month. I'm going to take out all the pages for that month in my notebook, and I start out with my monthly view page, and I fill out all of the bills and credit card payments that I need to make on this page, as well as the days that I get paid. I use this page to fill out the budget by paycheck worksheets, where I annotate monthly bills, envelope estimates, savings plan estimates, and extra debt estimates. After I've completed all of these areas, I will use this page to complete my debt payment plan and my envelope summary. And that's it for my monthly tasks. Then I will go through weekly and update my account balances, the expense log, the actual expenses on my budget by paycheck worksheets, and my savings trackers. At the end of the month, I'll fill out my savings tracker and my net worth worksheet. That'll complete everything for that month of budgeting, and then I get to do it all over again for the next month. Thanks for checking out my video. If you have any questions on the budget by paycheck method, you can ask me, or you can certainly ask the person who actually created it, the budget mom, who will be linked in the description. So thanks for staying tuned, and comment, like, and subscribe. See you guys.